Hey everyone, Tim here from Snap Attack. Let's dive into this week's Threat Snapshot. So we're going to take a look at something a little different today. Previously we've always done individual techniques, and today we're going to take a look at a kill chain. Now when I say kill chain, I'm not referring to a specific cyber kill chain or some other model. Really, I just mean a string of techniques that an attacker can put together to achieve their objectives on a host. So this kill chain is using some of these individual atomic attacks that we've talked about previously. So if you've been following our snapshots along, we've talked about Follina, that malicious office document exploit. We've talked about FOD helper UAC bypass. We've talked about using Certifried to get domain administrator. And this is really showing how you could chain these things together to achieve that objective. So again, this session here, we can take a look, and I'm actually going to make this a community session here so you can follow along after watching the video. But we're going to have three machines here. We've got our attacker machine, we've got our victim workstation, and then we've got our domain controller. And again, this kill chain starts out like I think a lot of initial access, where we've got this spearphishing email, there's a malicious office document attached, and the user reads it, they're convinced that this makes sense, so they go ahead, they open up the document, and then something usually goes wrong. So we can see here that when this document opens, again, we get a couple of warnings and things. We can take a look here at our timeline. So we see that this is that spearphishing document. And then very quickly after, we've got this Sliver agent here that's being opened up. We can pause the video. We can go back to the attacker. So here, this is Bishop Fox's Sliver. It's a nice open source alternative to Cobalt Strike. A lot of red teamers are using it. And we can see here that our initial command and control, or C2, has been established. So we can see here where we're at in the kill chain. Again, like all snap attack things, we can take a look at the labeled attacks that we have here, our analytic hits and markers. We could even dive in where I want to say, hey, this Sliver agent, what does that look like? I can open that up in Splunk. I can view all of the event logs around here. I can see that this was being launched with PowerShell and some base64 encode commands. Because this was being launched by MSDT, this was popping out of that S diagnostic host. And again, we can also take a look at that on the graph here too. So we've got our victim workstation host. Again, they opened up winword.exe, opened up that malicious document, MSDT spawned. We had that S diagnostic host, that PowerShell, and then obviously here we have that Bishop Fox Sliver agent here being run. And this is as again, trying to masquerade here a winnet64.exe. So again, going back to the video here, we can continue to take a look and see what the attacker is doing. We can highlight some of these things. So they're going to escalate privileges with FOD helper. They're going to obtain scheduled task persistence, so they'll be able to maintain some activity on the host. They'll dump credentials with LSAS. Next thing they'll do is that certified machine account and really do that whole certified kill chain here, or mini kill chain, where they're going to be able to get the credentials for the domain controller and then obviously be able to move laterally there. So we can take a look at what that looks like here on the attacker. We can see, again, on the victim machine, really nothing interesting going on. We still have that initial Word document exploit. Domain controller, again, we can see here where some of these markers start occurring, and again, we're capturing this information. Hopping around here, we don't see any, shells pop up or anything interesting on the domain controller here, but we can see, when we have certified, when we're, creating the machine account, or when we're creating the TGT, ticket granting ticket, we can see analytic hits here that will detect this activity. So these are all really good detection opportunities. And again, with Snap Attack, we can take a look and analyze this in different ways. So, here's that kill chain part here on the domain controller. And, when we do get that valid domain account, we're going to use psexec to move laterally. So we can see services.exe. It spawns that, random service name here, like so many of the psexec binaries do. And then we can see that PowerShell and then winnet64 being opened up for our Bishop Fox Sliver agent. So again, the impressive part here is just how you can chain all of these different techniques together. In this session, we went from initial access to a domain administrator in under 13 minutes. This here is by no means a speed run, but it just shows that how easy it is for attackers to chain these different techniques together and really achieve their objectives on target. And ultimately, again, the goal is to stop them as early in the kill chain. If we take a look at this in Attack Navigator, we can see here, we had an initial access with phishing. We had, achieved command execution here through PowerShell and through cmd.exe. We used scheduled tasks for persistence. We bypassed UAC with FOD helper. We did some credential dumping with mimikatz. And then, again, our Certifried is forging Kerberos tickets. We moved laterally with remote services psexec, and again we had command and control, so we're using HTTP, HTTPS, web traffic on encrypted channels. So again, the key piece here is each one of these techniques is something that can be detected on, and the earlier that we can stop them in the kill chain, the better. And I think a lot of customers really get this when they can see these, because sometimes we'll be taking a look at an individual technique like, say Follina, that initial access document, and they'll say, well, my antivirus would catch that, so I'm protected. I don't really have to worry about everything that comes after. And that's really kind of a bad way of thinking about this because, as an attacker here, these tactics here, initial access, execution, persistence, that's really the objective that I'm trying to achieve. And I can use any one of these squares here on the MITRE ATT&CK matrix to achieve that objective. So maybe you do have a really good, phishing program. Your users have good security awareness. They don't click phishing documents. But maybe there's a public-facing, web server that's out there. We've talked about Confluence and some of these other, remote execution vulnerabilities in past snapshots that I could easily use to get initial access. Or maybe there's just a compromised valid account. Again, there's lots of different ways that these attacks could start, and as an attacker, I can use any one of these squares here and really change those up. So again, I think kill chains are really valuable just to think about how you would stop them and really how you can change out these different techniques to make sure that, again, as attackers put these together, as their different campaigns change, as they use different techniques, how you're protected against these, both at that individual atomic level as well as a little bit more holistically. Because again, the goal is to stop them and detect them as early in the kill chain as possible. We definitely are going to be putting more kill chains into Snap Attack. Again, like I mentioned, we're going to open up this Follina kill chain that we demoed here today into the Community Edition. So check it out in the link below. And please keep watching these snapshots. Again, it's a weekly series. Hope you find these valuable, and we'll see you next week.